And welcome back here to NAB 2019 with Live Now Broadcasting. We are continuing to shoot live despite a few hiccups here on the show floor, so you get the first look at the latest gear. And I'm here with Kevin Hart from Rhino Systems. Kevin, thank you for joining us today.
It's Kyle.
I'm here with.
I know we're live, but
I thought we were at the Oscars. No,
you were just playing a joke on me, right?
So, Kyle.
Yeah.
You guys at Rhino, if I'm not mistaken, started off kind of as one of these Kickstarter companies. Tell us a bit about what that was like.
You bet. Yeah. So we started on Kickstarter in 2011, actually. I wasn't a filmmaker in the beginning. I was an insurance salesman and ended up taking filmmaking up as a hobby and started fiddling around and made some fun stuff. And we got on Kickstarter with our first, it was actually a terrible product. It was called Rhino Steady. It was a handheld stabilizer. But that led us to sliders, and that's really what we're known for.
Was that the pitch on Kickstarter? This is our first product. It's a terrible product.
Don't buy it. No, I'm actually shocked. I was
all humbled. Of a sudden it got funded with $20 million.
Not quite. 80 grand though, which was the world to me. Wow. You know, we sold 300 of them, and that's really what gave us the seed money to develop the Rhino slider, and then motorization, and then, which we'll talk about in a minute, the new system, Arc II.
Fantastic. I tell you, one of the things I ended up, it wasn't during the Kickstarter program, but I ended up buying one of your sliders with the Arc, and the thing that sold it for me is the thing is virtually silent.
Yes.
And like almost no other motorized slider on the market, you can use it in a quiet interview setting and you don't get that constant hum.
Yep. That was a big priority for us as filmmakers, is you have to have that scratch audio if you need it. And so also, it's annoying to your talent if the thing's noisy. So the new system's even quieter than the old system.
Well, so yeah, that's the second time you mentioned new system. Tell us what's new in the new system.
I'm eager. So we have a whole new system called Rhino Arc II. Previously, we had a system called Rhino Motion and Rhino Arc. And so Rhino Motion gave you that linear movement. Rhino Arc gave you that panning motion.
And just to recap, the motion was like a motor that sat on the side, exactly. And then the Arc was a whole separate unit with a whole separate, Correct. Couple of control cables that sat on the top.
Correct, and you had a little handheld controller that you could control the motion in real time.
Which was also the battery.
Yes.
But not the battery of the Arc, it was only the battery of the motion unit. So it is a bit to set up.
It is. There's cables that get pinched in the rollers. As a user, you might have experienced that.
Once or twice, I
know. It's a pain. So we have much better cable management on the new system. So we've merged all of those into one unit called Arc II and added tilt and focus. And so focus is optional. Arc II is a 2-axis pan-tilt system, and it has a lot of awesome features. You can actually power your camera directly from it. It has a 15-pound load capacity. You can do day to night time lapse using a new app out called Light Lapse. It's day and night above what we've currently done.
And it's the tilt is standard with it?
Tilt is standard, yep, up to 15-pound load capacity.
Fantastic. So we're seeing it over here. And also I noticed that unlike the original model, this has controls on the unit. Is that a different strategy?
A little bit. There's other competitors in the market that they go with an app-only approach, which it works if your phone works and it works if you connect to the product. As professionals, I like to have physical controls on a product because I don't have to rely on my phone in case my battery dies. And so we built in, we call it dual joystick controls. You have one joystick that controls your pan and your tilt, and then you have another joystick on the front that controls your slide and your focus. So you can set up a move extremely fast using just those joysticks, or you can use the app, depending on what experience you want.
Now, assuming you're not doing anything with lens control or time lapse, what's the cabling solution? How many cables do you really have to have hooked up?
So right now you have one cable that runs to the motor on the side of the unit from Arc II. Eventually we're going to make that wireless with another motor upgrade. That's yet to be announced, but that's the goal. Is we hate cables as a company. Focus has a little Cat5 cable that plugs into Arc II, but that's not really an issue.
Right. Now, if you already have the rails like the previous rails, will this new system still work with all the old sliders?
Yes, it is all backwards compatible. So we have 2 new motors out that are actually compatible with our new slider and the old Rhino slider Evo. So we have a high torque and we have a high speed motor. So you can actually go vertical with up to 10-pound load capacity.
Wow.
Yeah. So
do you have, if you want the Arc II, do you still have to get the new motion motor?
You do not. No, Arc II will plug into your existing motor. The only benefit of the new motors is that they're low profile. So we have this larger head that goes across the slider you'll have to set what we call an edge buffer so it doesn't run into it. If you upgrade and get a new motor, it'll actually, you can see it here, it's lower profile.
Right. Okay, and then what about cost of this compared to the Arc? The Arc was a very reasonable product, especially if you bought it at the same time and you bought it in one of the, you guys have bundles and kits, and I remember buying that all as a bundle. It was very reasonably priced.
Yep, so the old product was priced at about $600 for linear motion, $400 for pan. And so the new system, you're in at $1,400 for the pan tilt, and that controls the motor for the linear and it controls focus. So you're in probably about $1,700 with focus, well, really full 4 axes compared to 2 axes.
And that so it comes with the focus. It's not an optional.
Focus is optional, extra $300.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So and then does it have any kind of is the battery built into it now?
Yes. So it has a 60 watt-hour battery, which is pretty large. It'll power the full system, 4 motors, and actually powering your camera for about 4 hours. If you're just doing pan tilt, it'll last for about 6 to 8 hours, and time lapse lasts a lot longer.
And you're saying now with this system, you can actually lift 10 pounds on a vertical slide.
Yes, correct.
Wow. And
correct.
That's obviously a lot of power. That's with the high torque motor.
That's with the high torque motor. It's roughly 5 times more torquey than the high speed motor.
Torquey, I like that.
Torquey.
I got to tell you, looking at this now, the other thing that strikes me, and we are in a bit of a noisy environment here, granted, but it is still very, very quiet. So it looks like even with all the extra power and extra things that this does, it still has that signature Rhino quiet motor system.
It does. We've worked even harder on the electronics this time around, where it's actually quieter, even with the high torque motors, the pan, the tilt. We're powering 4 motors out of this thing, and so it's.
Now, looking forward down the road, I'm wondering what maybe is the next thing. Like, for instance, one thing on the previous gen, I don't know if this has it or not, is the ability to do repeatable moves, to save a couple of different moves, save like 3 or 4 moves, be able to recall them. I know that's one benefit of some of the products that do have the app, is now you've got a phone to work with, so you can save some of that stuff.
Sure.
Do you have any, is any of that in this product, or maybe plans for that sort of thing?
We'll see if it makes it for our cutoff, because we're starting to ship in June and we're still finalizing the firmware. You will be able to save moves, so you can set up to 5 keyframes in a move, and you can edit those keyframes based on what you want, whether focus or tilt or pan, and you'll also be able to save them from the phone as well. It might not be available on launch though.
Now, are you going to go back to Kickstarter for this one?
This one was actually funded on Kickstarter in, November, December of last year. So we raised about $350,000 for it, and that's funded our production, and we're about ready to ship.
Wow, that's wonderful. Is there anything else you can tell us that's coming soon?
The only other thing I would talk about the Light Labs app. It's a day to night app that we have out. It's free to try, $25 to buy, but it automates day to night time lapses just using your iPhone. You can download them, share them. That app and a bunch of other post-processing for time lapses is going to be included free with all of our hardware moving forward.
Fantastic. Kyle Hart, thank you so much for your time, your great products. Pleasure having you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
And that's all the time we have for this segment, but we'll be back with another interview in just a few minutes. So please stick with us right here on Live Now.